the year comes to an end, the Migori East Chorale wishes to invite you to their launching, which is scheduled to take place on 10th November 2024. The event shall be presided over by Pastor Hezron Achora from Southwest Nyanza Field, and the MC of the day is going to be MC Enoch Kaunda. The host pastor is Pastor Evans Okoth Ambani, famously known as Ambapo Ambapo. And the album title is Demas. And we look forward to featuring songs like Ahadi and Tawila Hisopo. This is an event that you're not supposed to miss. Guest choirs are going to be the Ebenezer Ministers, the Samonet Ministers Kisii, Paligate Singers Migori. We shall also listen to the Exodus Ministers, Kadika Church Choir, Ombo Church Choir, and many, many others. Not forgetting our very own host choirs like Migori East Children Ministry. We also have Migori East Ambassadors Choir. We have Migori East Young Adults. We have the Advent Family Ministers and Migori East Church Choir. Don't miss this great occasion.
Good morning. Welcome to the Vibrant Morning here in BTV. Today, Wednesday, 30th of October 2024. I'm your host, Isaiah Gagi, bringing you the Vibrant Morning live. Here is where we share with you a brief of what is in the newspaper. That is People Daily. We bring you newspaper review on People Daily. Now today we are not with Lennox Odede. Is out to attend a function that is where Governor of Migori County is going to have a press briefing in the State House. We believe he'll be back with goodies. Now as we continue, we also want to bring to your attention that remember today is the final day for the ruling of whether Kindiki should be sworn in. Now that's part of what we're going to bring for you. But before we dive into the People Daily newspaper, remember you can follow us on Facebook page, that is Blackman TV Kenya. You can also follow us on YouTube page, that is BTV Kenya, and also on X and on TikTok, that is BTV Kenya. Please, we will be very happy to hear from you. Please leave a comment so that we know where we are reaching you from. Now, thank you so much. Let us dive into what we are having for you today in the People Daily newspaper. Now, looking into the cover page, on the cover page of the People Daily newspaper, the big story is Rigi G hangs on a thin thread. Rigi G hangs on a thin thread. Now, the judges to rule on whether conservatory orders to prevent Kindiki from being sworn in as the new deputy president should be lifted. That is on page 4 of the People Daily newspaper. Now, still on the cover page, we see Ruto MPs oppose term extension bill. That is on page 3. Remember the Chararge's bill seeking to extend the presidential term limit from 5 to 7. Now, MPs allied to William Ruto now opposes that bill. Now, that is what also is on the story on page 3. Now, the best feelings about U.S. presidential elections. Now, that is in page 20 of the People Daily newspaper. And also, national exams nurturing them young. Now, that's also we have for you also there in the People Daily newspaper. Now, I will try to kind of bring news that are aligned together in one place so that we get to capture them very fast because we are running out of time. Now, let's begin with a story about the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Now, remember, Rigiji has a thin thread. Now, the rule whether conservatory orders preventing Kindiki from being sworn in as the new deputy president should be lifted. Now, that is on page 4. Now, we say today, Gachagua's date with political destiny arrives. Deputy President maintained that he was condemned by the Senate and heard early this month. Remember the story when the Deputy President, impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, was in the Senate on the day that he was supposed to be asked questions. In the afternoon, he became ill and was hospitalized. Now he claimed that the Senate did not hear from him. Now the story is by Caroline Kubwa. It is in page 4. Now what is the impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua will today know whether three-judge bench will set aside orders that stopped Kindiki Kithure swearing in. And also, Gachagua, through his lawyer, yesterday, Dr. John Kiminwa, urged the bench to extend conservatory orders preventing Kindiki Kithure from assuming the office. That is what we are having for you there. Please grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read more extensively. But let me just give you a brief of what is there in paragraph 1. Impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua will today know whether three-judge bench will set aside orders that stopped Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki from being sworn in as the Deputy President. That is part of what we have there. Please grab a copy and read more extensively. Now, as we move back, like I said, I will move you forward and backward. Now we are on page 3, where UDA MPs vow to oppose Gerard K. bill. Now, story by Mercy Mwai. Legislators have vowed to shoot down the bill that seeks to increase the term of the office of the elected leaders. Now that is what is there. Now the bill is on the table. Now Gerard K. bill also seeks to amend the constitution to extend the MPs, senators, MCS and governors to serve for 7 years. Now that is what that bill is all about. At the same time also, the bill also seeks to create the office of the Prime Minister similar to NACDO and BBI proposal. Now, the bill not only seeks to extend the term limit in the office for the elected leaders, but it also seeks to create a position for the Prime Minister. And also in the bill, it states that it also seeks to give the President powers to appoint the Prime Minister from among the members of the Parliament. Now, that is what the bill contains. It is there. You can read the story by Mercy Mwai. It says that a section of MP from William Ruto's United Democratic Alliance, UDA, have vowed to shoot down the bill that seeks to increase the terms for elected leaders to 7 years once it lands on the floor of the National Assembly. Now, addressing news conference yesterday, the lawmakers told Nandi Senator Samson Cherarkei, who is the owner of the constitutional amendment bill, to withdraw the proposal as they will fail should they proceed to the floor of the House. Now that is what I believe it's also very important for you to also read on page 3 of the People Daily newspaper. And also we have a filler story by Anthony Mwangi. Constituency offices to be centers of public drives. Now the story is the constituency offices will now be used as venues for public participation exercise. National Assembly Clerk Samuel Njoroge announced yesterday. Now Njoroge told the parliamentary leadership retreat in Naivasha that proper mechanisms were being put in place to facilitate the plans within next few days. Now that is what we are having for you in that story. You can also grab a copy and also read. And also still on the same page, inside the National Assembly, plan to combat graft and attract investment. Story by Anthony Mwangi. Now the story states the National Assembly is in the process of enacting 3 critical bills aimed at tackling corruption, enhancing fair business competitiveness, and making Kenya a more attractive destination for foreign direct investment. The proposed laws are the Public Procurement and Assets Disposal Amendment Bill 2024, the Conflict of Interest Bill 2024, and the Whistleblower Protection Bill 2023. Now that is what is also on matters attaching to the Parliament. Now, moving on to page 5, where we have no new power purchase deal, NPs. Now, lawmakers cite insufficient safeguards to protect taxpayers from manipulation by private investors. A story by Anthony Mwangi in page 5. Now, the story states, brief, that members of the National Assembly have rejected proposal by the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum to lift a moratorium on a new power purchase agreement, citing concerns about insufficient safeguards to protect taxpayers and national interest. Now, officials asked officials to lift the moratorium, specifically on coal-fired power plants, stressing the urgency of expanding power source to meet Kenyans' increasing energy need. Now, that's a story which I also believe it is important you can grab a copy and read more extensively on that story. Also, on page 6, jump with me to page 6, move with me to page 6, my dear viewer. Counties to wait longer for cash as legislators haggle. Remember, there's been a disagreement, or actually there's been a disagreement as the Senate maintained that the allocation to the counties should have been maintained to 400 billion as opposed to the president's slashing of 20% that was bringing into 38 billion due to the argument that the money was not there since the Finance Bill 2025-2024 was quashed away. Now, the counties will have to wait longer for the legislators' arguments. Now, senators, MPs agreed to form a committee to unlock impasse after Senate reject the decision to slash the amount. Now, that is a story on page 6, and the story is by Mercy Mwai. Now, these are what is contained in the story. The senators and the members of the National Assembly agreed to form 18-member committee to try to unlock the stalemate. That is the disagreement that was there. Also, Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, appointed 9 members of the National Assembly to serve in the mediation committee. Now, record 28 senators voted to retain 100 billion that was in the bill, despite their counterpart from National Assembly supporting the reduction. Now, that is what is in the story. Grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read more extensively. But let me give you a brief of what is in the story. Counties will have to wait longer to access shareable revenue as senators and MPs headed for talk and resolve the current impasse over President William Ruto's proposal to slash the shareable revenue by 20 billion from 400 billion Kenyan shillings billion to 38 billion. Now, you can also grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read that story. It is also very important. Now, still on matters of the parliament and legislation, we see Kiambu Senator call for abolition of the representative of political positions. Now, a story by Faith Masharia says Kiambu Senator Karungo Wautanga called for the abolition of Kenya National Assembly, arguing members of the parliament, MPs, are redundant, are ineffective. He is also saying in an interview at Oga Obina TV show, Karungo expressed his opinion on the role of MPs in the National Assembly, stating that the members of County Assembly MCS can easily handle their work. Now, that's also a story which you can grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read more extensively on that story. Now, moving on, still on matters of party, Democratic Party opposed proposed term extension. Now, story by James Wanjiku says Democratic Party of Kenya, DP, yesterday opposed the suggested bill seeking to extend the terms of the president and other elective seats from 5 to 7 years. Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2024, championed by Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei, seeks to extend the term of office for the president, governors, and parliamentarians. Now it has been opposed by the Democratic Party, the DP party. That is also a story worth noting, and I believe it is a matter of interest. You can grab a copy and read. Still on the matters of National Assembly, pricked Wetangula bemoans missing committee leadership. Now, National Assembly Speaker reads Riot Act to absent chairpersons after giving crucial session wide berth. A story by Anthony Mwangi. Now, let me give you a brief of what is in that story. It is in the story, it is frustrated Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, yesterday warned committee chairpersons and their deputies that they would be removed from their positions if they repeatedly skip House sittings. Wetangula underscored the crucial role committee chairpersons play in House business, where they served as key liaisons between the legislature and the executive. Now, that's also a story which I believe it is very important. You can grab a copy and read more and get more details. Now, moving on with the story, now we are moving back to page 2 of the People Daily newspaper. Muchai murder court hearing proceeds today. Now, a story by Alphonse Mungahu. Now, murder trial is back. The government pathologist Johnson Odiwuor is expected to be cross-examined by the defense lawyer representing the accused persons in the murder of Muchai. Now, as the story continues, they are separately also accused of murder of Muchai, his two bodyguards, Samuel Kalika and Samuel Matanta, and driver Stephen Wambugu on the night in 2015. Now, what is in the story? Very, very important. Now, a pathologist is expected to be cross-examined by the defense lawyer in the trial. And the trial has been in court since 2015. Now, the hearing of the late Kabete MP George Muchai's murder case is expected to proceed today. Muchai, his two bodyguards and driver were killed on the morning of February 7, 2015. The government pathologist Johansen Odiwuor, is expected to be cross-examined by the defense lawyer representing the accused persons. He concluded his evidence in chief last year. Now, that's a story which I believe is also very, very important. You can grab a copy and read more extensively on the story. Now, moving still, we also have for you, or the newspaper has for you, Godana attribute Harris to state failure to address perennial Tana fields. Now, story by Ruben Mwambingu is in page 4 of the People Daily newspaper. And now, Tana River Governor Dado Godana has now attributed the ongoing clashes in his county to the government's failure to address long-standing community disputes. Now you can also grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read more extensively on that story. Now we move back to page page 2 of the People Daily newspaper, where we see activist Mwangi released by police without charge. Now, prominent Kenya human rights activist Boniface Mwangi has been released without charge after being detained by police on suspicion of inciting violence, his wife told BBC. Now, she described on Sunday how forcibly took him from their home. Now, that's also a story which I believe is important. Grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read more extensively. Still on page 2, Don't Strike, Halt Learning at Turkana University, a story by Hesbon Etiang. Academic activists at Turkana University College came to a standstill on Tuesday as members of the University Academic Staff Union Turkana chapter launched a strike protesting the government's failure to fulfill a promised salaries increment. Now that's also a story. Remember, yesterday it was hot. The issues dealing with the strike, a university strike that is ongoing. You can grab a copy and read more extensively. Now, moving on to page 4, we are jumping to page 4. My reader, jump with me to page 4, where we are also having state urge to sack inept officials after liquor deaths, a story by David Masharia. Now, the government has been urged to sack administrators who have failed to control illicit brews in part of Nyahururu sub-county in Laikipia, leading to death of 7 people in recent times. Now, the two of the victims were named as Anthony Mutiga Ngugi, aged 50, and his neighbor William Wanyuike, aged 40, died last week at Bondeni village, Gitumaba location of Mamanet ward in the sub-county. Now, the state has been asked to sack the administrators of those areas. Now, that is what is there in page 4, part of what is there in page 4. Now, moving also to page 5, where we have no-show prompt arrest warrant for a man in 13.7 million fraud case, story by Gidraf Kibochi. Now, in the story we have magistrate court in Nairobi has issued a warrant of arrest against a businessman who was the mastermind of the fake tender to refurbish Moi International Sports Center and conned a businesswoman 13.7 billion Kenya shillings. Now, Paul Mwangi Warutere, who is charged alongside his father, James Warutere Njege, and 2 others, failed to appear in court for the hearing of the case, prompting the court to issue warrant of arrest. Now, that is also a story in page 5. Grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read more extensively. Now, moving into page 7, where we have agony as patients with blood disorder suffering in silence and stigmatized. Now, the story by George Kibaso and Liz Muthoni is in page 7. Now, part of the story reads, the number of people battling various blood diseases, hemophilia, is alarming as those affected suffer in silence of stigma. Experts in blood disorder had targeted to reach an estimate of 700 patients by next year, but only 20% are under care since the program kicked off in the late 2020. Now, that's also a story that you also need to read. Now, in case you are suffering from blood disorder, remember, you need to come out and be helped. That is there. And also, we have dilapidated facilities at Kisii Hospital, local residents. Now, what is it? Exorbitant service charges and broke equipment at Kreki facilities angers the residents of Kisii, a story by Bongoko Nyokanyi. Now, in the story by Bongoko Mokani, said most of the 13 ambulances have stalled and made a near impossible for facility to respond to emergencies. That is part of the claim. Also, the Doctors Plaza, which is reported to have been completed 2 years ago, is yet to be operational. And also, hospital reportedly demands for 50,000 to admit patients. Now, that is what is in the story from Kisii. Now, concerns have been raised over the sore state of Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital, with residents demanding a total overhaul of the management to improve delivery service. The referral facility serves Kisii and other neighboring counties. That's a story of matter of interest and health. Please, I believe it is very important you can grab a copy and read more extensively on the story. Now, Machakos artisans asked for support. A story by Gaston Vulasi. Wamunyu Wood Caves in Mwala sub-county have asked the county government to help market their product. The artisans have decried the slump in the tourism sector, which they say hit their market. Now, that's also a story I believe you can grab and read more extensively. A man to serve life in prison for defiling stepdaughter. Now, that's a story also in page 8, a story by Sophie Njoka. Grab a copy of People Daily newspaper and read more of that. Now, let us move to page 10. Page 10, where we are having People Daily editorial. We have quotes of the day. I'm going to read all the 3 quotes of the day. Number 1, from the National Assembly Speaker, Moses Wetangula. You received additional compensation and enjoy travel privileges because you are committee leaders. The last year, the least you can do in return is constantly attend house sessions. Now, that's a quote from the National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula. Also, I was given money to help impeach Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, but I did not accept it. I have never seen such amount in my life. Now, that is what Kiambu Senator Karungu Thangwa now says. Also, we have Democratic Party leader, that is Jacob Haji, says, we have had elected leaders since 1963, and there has never been any suggestion from anyone to extension of official term. We asked ourselves, why does this Kenya Kwanza regime want to increase the term? Now, that is also there. Now, looking into the cartoon of the day, now we see the President of Kenya, that is President William Ruto, on a seat, Gachagua impeached, and now the seat is on a balloon, and the President is sitting and saying Gachagua impeached, and also is dangling 2027 vote on Mount Kenya, top of Mount Kenya. You can also grab a copy and see that. Now, let me give you thought of the day. We have excellence is not a singular act, but a habit. You are what you do repeatedly. Excellence is not a singular act, but a habit. You are what you do regularly. You can also grab and check on that. Now, also moving into page 12, where we have court finds duo guilty in athlete murder case. Now, judge rallies on footage that placed the two at the scene of crime on the New Year's Eve night. The killing of international athlete occurred. A story by Winston Cheresemi. Now, caught on tape. According to the judge, CCTV footage placed the two accused at the scene of the brutal murder. And also, the 2008 World Junior and 300 meters steeplechase silver medalist was murdered while on his way home. The court gave its sentence in November. The court will give the sentence on the case on November 4th. You can also grab a copy and read on much of that. Also, we have Sakaja on still the same page. Sakada Louds County School Feeding Program and to establish a board by Alvin. Now, City Secretariat to ensure that Nairobi Dishi School Feeding Program operate efficiently and effectively. Nairobi Johnson Sakaja announced yesterday that his administration is implementing necessary governance structure to properly manage the project, which is now 14 months old. Now that's a plus. You 12 businessman charged in 16 million goods fraud case. A story by Gidraf Mwangi. A businessman has been charged at Nairobi court without obtaining Nairobi court with obtaining goods worth 16 million using pretense. Now that's a story. You can grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read. Moving matters on page 14. Airtel Kenya takes on competition with the new data plan. Now for the lovers of Airtel, now Airtel Kenya takes on competition with the new data plan. A story by Ian Okal. Airtel Kenya has rolled out new plans under the Data Imedata campaign, aiming to offer more data at affordable price and improve customer experience with weekly and monthly package tailored to demand the digital era. You can also grab a copy and read much more of that extensively. Also on matters of business, we say IMF raises concern over Kenya's 194 billion UAE loan. Now, it warns the country could run into debt repayment problem as loan from the Middle East could become expensive and costly to taxpayers in the long term. Story by Vanessa Sandra. Please grab a copy and read more extensively. APDM platform set to transform livestock marketing in Africa. That's also a story I believe is very important. You can grab a copy to read. Kenya Power posts 3 billion profit in year ended June. And now performance primarily driven by spike in revenue from commercial and industrial sector, the strengthening of shilling against the global currencies. Now Matthew Ndungu, grab a copy and read more extensively. Why Kenya should make cybersecurity a national priority. A story by Kennedy Kamande. Importance of cybersecurity awareness is more critical than other. That's also a story that is there in the People Daily newspaper in page 15. Now you can grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper, read more extended. Ashes and artificial intelligence feature on iPhones. Now, for the lovers and for the users of iPhone, Apple has ushered in features on iPhone. A suite of AI tool announced in June became available to owners of some iPhone around the world on Monday. Now that's, I believe you can also read more extensively. Now, still on matters of business, Kengen net profit jumps to 6.8 billion on geothermal revenue growth. Now that's also a story by Sandra Vanessa. Please grab a copy and read more extensively from that story. Now, moving into page 70, we have world news. Iran to raise military budget by 200%. Now, planned defense budget increase follow recent attack on its own soil and Israel military offensive at Gaza and Lebanon. A story by Toran on Tuesday. You can grab a copy and read. Now, Iran planned to increase its budget in matters of that we have explained there. Now, grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read on world news. Now, I'm going to move very fast on matters to do with the sports. Seeking better opportunities. Anne Wafula strike lead crusade for inclusion of athletics living with disabilities. Now, you can also read that story. It is very, very catchy and matters of interest. White elephant of Nyandarua. Work yet to resume at the Al Kalau Stadium despite presidential directive. The president had given directive on that, but work is not yet started. Story by David Macharia. Grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read that comprehensively. Now, still on matters of sport, CAF Vice President Wamberi announces bid for FIFA Council position. Now, you can also read that story on matters of sports. Vote and resourceful leaders at Federation help, says Merus Rungu. Now, remember, the Football Kenya Federation has allowed a period for campaign for the election of the leadership of Football Kenya Federation. Now, you are asked to vote for leaders, resourceful leaders at the federation. Now, that's what Meru Rungu said. Meru Rungu is FK chairman Kenneth Rungu, who also a secretary of Meru Motorsports. You can also read that and more extensively. Old Trafford's favorite, how Man United closed in on Ruben Amorim after 2 rounds of talks. Now, Manchester United were in talks on Monday, right, to appoint Sporting Ruben Amorim as their new manager after sacking Erik ten Hag. Now, Mail Sport revealed last week that Amorim was one of the 4 targets if ten Hag was axed, and United announced on Monday morning that the Dutchman's 2.5-year reign at Old Trafford was over. Now, you can also grab a copy and read that more extensively. And also, Vinicius Jr. make Ballon d'Or vows after Madrid star finishes behind Manchester City's Rodri. You can also read that and much more. Inside ten Hag's turbulent time at Manchester United. You can also read that more extensively. Defiant Kogalo, also Nairobi City star. Nairobi City Stars defeat will rejuvenate Gor Mahia. Now, that's what the coach says. We also have a copy to read that extensively. Kenyan's Denzel Onyango shines at Raw in the ring. Boots in Nairobi. You can also grab a copy from the People Daily newspaper and read that more extensively. Rodri wins Ballon d'Or. That's a story. What for you? How Man City star became the best player in the world. I wonder where the Arsenal players are and where Manchester United players are. But that is Spain. Barcelona's Bonimati scoops women top prize. That's also what is there in the People Daily newspaper. Now, my dear viewers, thank you so much. We have come to an end of the People Daily newspaper today. Newspaper review, what we had for you. Now, we have to bring this to a close, but remember, tonight from 7 p.m. we are having Politics and Power. Keep tuned. Don't miss. It is going to be hot, discussing matters that affect the Republic of Kenya. Mheshimiwa will be here to discuss with us, and I'll be hosting him. Gagi Sai will be hosting him. Remember to keep tuned, and we also bring you brief on the news that we are holding here in BTV Kenya. Thank you so much for watching BTV Kenya. Thank you so much for keeping tuned to BTV. Have a lovely Wednesday full of goodies as you wait to hear the court ruling today on matters that touches or swearing in, assuming office and swearing in of the appointed Kithure Kindiki, Deputy President, to replace impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Have a wonderful day. God bless you.
The year comes to an end, the Migori East Chorale wishes to invite you to their launching, which is scheduled to take place on 10th November 2024. The event shall be presided over by Pastor Hezron Achora from Southwest Nyanza Field, and the MC of the day is going to be MC Enoch Kaunda. The host pastor is Pastor Evans Okoth Ambani, famously known as Ambapo Ambapo. And the album title is Demas. And we look forward to featuring songs like Ahadi and Tawila Hisopo. This is an event that you're not supposed to miss. Guest choirs are going to be the Ebenezer Ministers, the Samonet Ministers Kisii, Paligate Singers Migori. We shall also listen to the Exodus Ministers, Kadika Church Choir, Ombo Church Choir, and many others. Not forgetting our very own host choirs like Migori East Children Ministry. We also have Migori East Ambassadors Choir, we have Migori East Young Adults, we have the Advent Family Ministers, and Migori East Church Choir. Don't miss this great occasion.